Welcome to Lift Your Legacy. My name is Jacob Rupp, father, husband, and rabbi. And each week we bring you an inspiring person or message to help you unlock your inner potential and create change that will impact the future. Thank you for listening, and let's get to it.
I interviewed Lorrie Thomas Ross, who is the web marketing therapy expert. She runs a marketing company, an agency that helps business owners and companies sort of diagnose what they're doing and get an effect. And she's extremely focused and helpful. It's so interesting because she really combines, like therapy in the sense that she takes the time to really understand the problem, chart the solutions, understand where we're going for, and the different strategies, and marketing. How do you get your message out there? How do you better understand between the two people? She definitely comes from an educational standpoint. She teaches a lot. And so while this world is difficult for a lot of us to understand, and while there's all kinds of stuff going on at all time, Lorrie slows it down and really helps us understand what to do, how to figure out what we want, and then how to go forward. And I think that's absolutely crucial, because while there are millions of things you can do, and that oftentimes creates a lot of overwhelm, what you should do usually starts with being a lot more introspective and figuring out, what do I need? What do I want? And that's exactly the approach that Lorrie deploys in the work that she does. She's a published author. She's writing another book. She runs a very successful marketing company. And I know that she has a ton of value to deliver in this interview. Lorrie, before we jump into the weeds about how marketing can be done, how marketing could be done not in a stressful way, which is shocking and interesting for me. Tell me a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey and how you got to where you are today.
I'm a completely accidental entrepreneur. I started out working in retail management, high-end luxury brands, and got recruited, like truly plucked out of my job in retail. And over the years, the whole web world is still fairly new compared to other marketing industries. And so as I went in, I started as a seller of online media, then I became a buyer of online media, and then I got asked to teach, and it was teaching that gave me this insight. I would have students that were entrepreneurs, business owners, startups, and I was so enamored with them. I wanted to help them, and they were taking my material, and they would come back week after week in class and go, "Lorrie, we got this done, and this is great." And then I'm in corporate, and it's like, "Oh, let's have 27 more meetings to do best practices." Or I'm like, but I love entrepreneurial spirit. I love the creativity, the lack of the glass ceiling. And it never occurred to me that I could be one. And then it took one of those just I hate my job kind of jobs that made me pack up my box and my red stapler from Office Space. And I went home and I'm like, I'm going to start my own business. And that was it, almost 15 years later.
That's outstanding. One of the things that comes across besides your enthusiasm is this idea of therapy in conjunction with online marketing. So tell me a little bit about that spin there and why you think that it doesn't have to be stressful and painful.
I'm one of those people that thinks marketing is so exciting because, well, first of all, let me put my educator hat on. The true academic meaning of marketing is maximizing exchanges. That's what it means, textbook definition. If you break it down even further, it's maximizing relationships. And here's my digital marketing hat. It's maximizing relationships, and it's relationships with prospective customers. I mean, the great thing about web marketing is you can have a whole relationships with someone before you even talk to them or before they even put an item in the cart. And so when I started my business, and it was called Lorrie Thomas Web Marketing, very creative. I think someone asked me, so who do I send the invoice to? And I was like, fake it till you make it. I'm like, Lorrie Thomas Web Marketing. And my clients kept calling me their marketing therapist. And that's where this whole concept of web marketing therapy popped in. And I mean, I would get the calls of, Laura, I got to get on your therapy couch. Or let me tell you, my website guy, he's holding my site hostage. He says I owe him $7,000. I don't know what's going on. And so I found myself just breaking down what seemed to be stressful. And then we'd have these marketing breakthroughs. And so I bought the domain Web Marketing Therapy. I sat on it for 2 years. I had people in my industry, and I started my business in Santa Barbara, California. I'm an Atlanta girl now. But I had business people that I just adored in Santa Barbara. They're like, Lorrie, you can't say you do marketing therapy. Like no one's going to like that. And I was like, but that's what we do. The true, the best type of therapy is the kind where you get well. and you get off the couch. So unlike other agencies that are trying to sell you a website and then hold it, or be your social media agency for the rest of your life, I'm like, look, I can get in, I can diagnose, I can prescribe, and I can guide what you need. And sometimes it's us just putting a little bit of advisory or getting some employees at an organization doing a little better execution, and all of a sudden we just go like this, and then we're like, okay, we're good. And they're like, that's it. We're like, that's it. And maybe in 3 years, if you need us, we do have clients where we do full-fledged marketing management for, but our approach is full-fledged empowerment, no secrets, no secret sauce, expert advice, damn good advice. And it should be a way that's like, I don't work for, I'm not selling a website or a service. I'm working for the customer. I'm on their side. And I've been that person at the corporation where I'm getting pushed SEO services or pushed whatever. And so I know how it feels. And so helping clients navigate that so that they're doing marketing that's on brand, but also on purpose is just, it's super rewarding.
So that's very exciting. With the plethora of stuff out there. So it's, for you have, let's say a product or a service, someone that is exceptional or hopefully good at one thing. And then they enter this world of marketing, of social media marketing. There's SEO, there's website, there's, ClickFunnels, there's Instagram, there's so many different things. So when you're looking at someone like that and helping to, devise a strategy, what are some of the questions that you're asking yourself, that you're asking the client?
Well, most of our new client onboarding process is an audit where we're getting under the hood, just like a doctor would look at blood work and really go deep. We go deep, and that can be talking with employees, that can be looking at other vendors. I mean, we've had so many experiences where the vendor goes, thank goodness you're here, because we've been trying to tell the client this and look at this thing. And we're like, that's amazing. And they're like, right. And we're like, that's amazing. The client's like, oh, you think so? We're like, yes. So we come in and we look at the website, we look at email marketing, we look at goals, we look at ad spend, often traditional marketing, PR people. I love PR, not that I can do it, but I love the whole concept of leveraging that PR content for SEO and for credibility. And can I stop you on that and just ask you a little bit more in details in terms of that? What is PR from your perspective, and how does that work in a marketing sense? Public relations is the act of getting media. It could be being quoted in a publication. It could be being quoted in a blog post. It could be print, traditional. When I say I'm not like a PR my biggest claim to fame is I did get a client a 2-page color spread in Inc. magazine once. And that was through an online PR thing. And it was one of those just brilliant matches. But I'm not an agency where I can promise you I can get you in Vogue magazine. That's a different type of PR agency. But I look at PR, and now with social media, the lines blur. And so I love to come in and collaborate with that PR person and go, hey, what do you need to get better PR? And the PR person goes, the website, I don't have a news page. Let's make you a news page. Or, I've gotten the client in Inc. magazine. Oh, great. It's nowhere on the website. How do we leverage this? We need to blog about it. We need to do all these things. You take really like the project, which is what we help kind of define. It's the diagnosis. The prescription is really the, I would say the process. And as we guide, it's the systems. And often the systems become things that we leave the legacy at the organization and the team continues to do. But it's like, what do we do with these things? And so, yeah, we look at the ClickFunnels, we look at the ad spend, the PR, all of those things, just like in health, right? Like if you come in, you're like, my wrist is hurting me. And they're like, well, let's put a Band-Aid on your wrist. Or actually, let's talk about, how do you sit at work? What are you eating? Are you hydrated enough? This stuff's all connected. And so while it's great to specialize in things, and part of our process, like actually I'm giving a talk in Miami next week where I'm going to talk about how we collaborate with other SEO firms in this particular niche, because there are certain things where we just say, you know what, based on what you're saying, you need this firm, and we're going to help you find the right firm to do that. And so again, it's a really different approach, but it's very holistic. Everything is connected. And if you can elevate certain areas and things that might be bringing the whole process down, everything gets better. So that's fascinating. How did you find yourself with this holistic approach? Meaning that
was this accidental? Was this after kind of, seeing the entire spectrum of the marketplace, said this is really where my genius space is? Or like, how did you arrive at it? Because I feel like what you're saying is very unique, because everyone else is pushing, let's build your YouTube following. Let's, all of these things, which on the client end, the client's like, well, sure, I'd love, 20,000 or, 100,000 views on YouTube, but not really understanding how does that fit into my website or my Instagram strategy.
I think some of it is that I just care. The other part is that I look at it as a business owner, and it's about the need to haves first and then the nice to haves, right? In psychology, there's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where you need your basic needs met first. If someone comes to me and says, I think I need video, I'm like, okay, well, let's discuss that and let's break it down. Whoa. Before we do all this visibility stuff, we got some credibility issues we got to address before we drive traffic, because that's going to impact your sellability. My agency operates under a 5-factor framework. It's credibility, usability, visibility, sellability, scalability. When I was writing my book and I wrote the McGraw-Hill 36-hour course to online marketing, I had all my chapters, I was ready to go, and I found everything started, every concept had a lot of the same principles, and I had to stop and rework. And I had an introductory chapter that just said, okay, before we go into all of these tools or channels, understand that here's this holistic approach that all of these can do. If you want to build visibility, let's make sure that all the other pieces are working so that you're really getting the maximum result. And it's the advice, it's the advisor in me. If someone came to me and said, hey, I'm thinking about buying a new house and I'm $200,000 in debt, I'd be like, is that really a good choice? It's the same thing with marketing. It's just common sense. I really need to build my Instagram followers. Okay, why? Well, because I went to a conference and I heard Instagram is where it's at. Okay, how's business? Lorrie, I have more business than I know what to do with. Okay, let's look at, it's just looking at it. Everyone has a different, we have different industries. Certain industries might be more active on Twitter versus Instagram. There's so many pieces to the puzzle, but yeah, as far as my process, it's really just helping organizations make smart decisions so that they scale, so that they, eventually move up to self-actualization, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, so that they're getting in investing, not spending, but really investing in building. It's just like a good stock, right? All these small steps compound.
So that's a fascinating idea. So what I'm hearing is, and this was a concept that I think very few people in the I guess you could say the media space are discussing, but I heard Gary Vaynerchuk say something about how, you'll find these early adapters on any different platform, and their timing was one of the major factors that made them big. That by the time everyone else was signing on to YouTube, these guys had been there for 3 years. Mm-hmm. And he was saying that you look at new technology as like waves coming onto the shore of an ocean. And it's like, well, if you miss that wave, that's okay, because there's one behind. So whereas we get a lot of frenzied, you got to build this today, it sounds to me like you're saying that there are basic fundamentals that have not changed over the entire landscape of your business. And you don't feel any kind of this like urge to have to stay on the cutting edge, because the fundamentals of business and marketing are not going to change. Is that a fair assessment?
It's a like 90%, yes. So the classics will always be there. Great language, consistency, branding, all of those. And yes, if Instagram has new trends, like right now, it's all about the stories. You have to stay on top of it. There's an art and there's a science in web marketing, digital marketing. There's also a heart, and that's like my warm fuzzy, where, if I'm talking with like, more techie industries, they're like, oh God, did she just say that? I'm like, yes, like I'm talking about love here. Why do you do what you do? What do you want to help your audience understand? And then that meaningful messaging gets applied to the technology and the latest trend. But no, I don't stress out. I have an amazing team where we're always talking about things. And one says, oh my gosh, here right now it's like, voice activated search is like the latest thing we're geeking out on. So yes, but the classics of marketing are always there. And what happens is I do see a disconnect where everyone's like, there's the tool. I'm like, let's better get our feet back down on the ground and let's invest. And also we've had clients where they will cut certain channels. They're like, I can't keep up with all of the messaging here or there. And okay, well, if we can't quantify or it's not working, let's kill it. They're like, oh, really? And I'm like, yeah. Like, you just see, like, we can do that? Yeah.
I love this sense of power that you have behind sort of the way that you advise businesses. How did you cultivate that level of stability, I guess, in yourself? And as a business owner and as an entrepreneur, how do you kind of keep cool when there is a fair amount of instability out there?
As a company culture, we're very healthy. We're about getting our sleep and taking care of ourselves. And
physically, you're very healthy.
Physically, I mean, my doctor might think I could do some things to improve, but for it's very much in line with our values as an organization. We all work virtually. Like right now, I'm talking, my cat's in my lap. My daughter's upstairs playing. We all live in places that are meaningful to us and our families. And so, and it's pretty funny that I built my business with like high-powered alpha male dudes, like that were always coming to me, the marketing therapist. And so I had to go eye to eye with these guys and like, yeah, you need good food in your stomach and you need a good night's rest. But it is funny. I think a lot of it too is that we're all pretty self-aware people. When I do these marketing audits, I often preface it with, I am known as the marketing therapist, right? I get paid to be good before I get paid to be nice. During this process, there might be things you disagree with or that you question, things that might frustrate you, and that's okay. And if you need to project that anger at me, I wouldn't recommend that, but it's not my first rodeo, and I've done a lot of self-work, and I understand that that's part of, and I explain that growth is not something you do with a cup of hot cocoa and a blanket. It's not like, ooh, I'm growing. It's like, no, it's awkward and it can be annoying. But when you have a team that's got your back that can say, you know what, hold that video investment. If you're not in the mindset to do that, let's parking lot that for a few weeks. It's like, we're just on the client's team. Or when there's times when we need to push them. Okay, you're getting too comfortable. We need to go that next level. Or your headshots look like they're from 1990. And it's that tough love advice. So maybe my long-winded answer is that my brand has really helped me. It helps set the tone of what they're going to get. I'm not a large person, but I can take on some large personalities because I'm a marketing therapist. I'm not an internet marketing consultant like everyone else. I've differentiated our approach and our values. And I'm really big with digital marketing. You have to voice the 3 V's. You have to voice your value and your values. And so I would say I don't know if I could go through and.
You said you give me 2 V's. Is there a third one?
Voice. You're voicing your value and your values.
Voicing values and values. Okay.
Yeah, and it's important for us to work with, we work with passionate professionals. We work with people that are really in it to win it. And they're not like, hey, I want to sell 50,000 widgets and go public tomorrow. I've done that. I'm good at it. I hate it. No, not my thing.
Why?
But someone who's like, look, I'm a trial attorney because it's something I, witnessed as a young child, or this is really important for me to help people, and this is why I do it. I'm like, okay, I can get on that team. But it's primarily the organizations that we're supporting they're all experts in their field in some respect, in all industries. Wellness, it's health, it's education, finance, but they're people that are really genuinely caring. And that's not something we overly promote on our website, but somehow I feel like it's our values as a team that is somehow bringing that, and also repelling people that are like, I don't want therapy. I'm like, good. That's great. Well, we've just saved each other a lot of time.
How did you develop this sense of self-awareness? Because I think it's refreshing in a lot of ways to see that you as an individual can show up as yourself in a marketplace, even if it's, like you said, dominated by alpha, personalities or whatever it might be. So how did you find that inner peace or sense?
It's a journey, and when you're an entrepreneur, you're always paying attention to what is working, what's not. I just don't know how I couldn't not be true to myself on a daily basis. And the reason I left the confines of corporate hell was because I wasn't like all the other kids. And while I always left corporations on great terms and have stayed in touch with people I've worked with and worked for. It just wasn't my bag. Like, I wanted the flexibility. And I feel like, especially because of the flexibility that our type of company culture provides, I really feel like it has allowed not only myself, but my team to really grow into who we are, because we don't have that, I got to be here till 6:30 p.m. and then I have to be at this meeting. It's like, I got to be at my son's event, or I need to be at this event. You know, one of our web lead taught spinning for years. He's an avid cyclist. One of my employees lost 30 pounds a couple years ago and went on this amazing health journey because that's what she wanted to do. And that's where your authenticity comes through. I feel like you just need that space to do that.
It's amazing. How self-aware do you find, this idea of giving the audit to the client, how self-aware do you find? I know it's probably on a spectrum, but are people aware of where they are or how things are going? Or do you find that most people are fairly unsure, at least from your eyes as a marketing therapist, what they need and where they are in their business?
Most organizations are aware of what they spend and what they're getting. And a lot of organizations or digital marketing organizations, they provide reports, they have check-ins, but they're looking at one piece of the puzzle. Like, I was on the phone with someone last night and he kept saying, SEO, I'm not number one, I'm no. And I said, well, what's this firm doing for you? Crickets. I mean, he couldn't even answer that question. And that's where we come in. It's like, okay, like, it's kind of like I could cut my own hair, but that'd be a really bad idea. It would probably look really bad. I go to a professional. If I need a trademark attorney, I go to my guy. He's amazing. I don't do it myself. Actually, I tried to. It was a mess. But that's the thing with digital marketing. You can't expect to be an expert in email and website design and analytics. You just need someone to come in and not only touch it, make the recommendations, but educate you. And that's the process. And so I will say most of the organizations, they're aware of what they're spending, what they're doing, and to some degree of how it's working, but often not how it's all connected and what untapped opportunities there are. I was in Los Angeles so many years ago with a client, and I said, what's this book? This is case studies. No, Lorrie, that's print, he says. I'm like, this is gold. This is hundreds of pages of love letters that I could be putting on the web to build your search optimization. Oh, and I'm like, good thing I showed up. Right. So I love that kind of stuff where, you can use things that you already have. It's the California girl in me. Like, I love recycling. It's great for the planet. It's great for your digital marketing. And so it's just having that fresh set of eyes come in, and in a way where we're not pitching anything. We're not like, oh, and we're going to do this. Yes, if you need the training, and yes, if you need someone to maybe get you through hiring the next firm or something, we absolutely can do that. But empowering the client is the key. It's absolutely the key.
When you say empowering the client, what does that mean per se? In an ideal sense, I know that education is such a crucial factor, but do you see ideally that your clients are doing their own marketing, or that they're able to tell their story in a compelling way to allow someone like yourself or a PR person or someone on their team to do it well?
It's all of the above. So on our website, webmarketingtherapy.com, we have a logo. It's based on the defunct psychological myth of the phrenology head, that personality is lodged in the brain. And not only do we leverage that for the therapyisms, but it's looking at this puzzle. And someone might come to us who might be a web celebrity, who's built a great brand and could put on Instagram, I ate cardboard for breakfast, and everyone's like, yeah, I like it. I love cardboard. What? And that person comes to us and says, okay, here's what I've got, and I need to sell. I'm trying to make money selling sponsored posts. Then we're going to look at that puzzle. Someone who says, we run a medical firm, and we've got 6 locations, and here's where we're at. It's a very different puzzle that we're putting together. It could be the solopreneur or the organization with 200 employees. Some just come to us and say, our marketing team needs a couple hours of a workshop, and they just need to be educated, they need to be empowered, and they need to laugh a little bit. I'm like, great, let's do that. And then we come in and we get out. And so that's where the whole diagnose, prescribe, and guide comes in. And And the whole marketing therapy process came about because everyone that we were working with when we were Lorrie Thomas Web Marketing, it was so different. They're like, what's it going to cost? Well, it just depends on what you need. And that's where this whole process of really getting under the hood and breaking, you got to break things down before you have those breakthroughs.
Amazing. I know you're working on your second book. What did you miss in the first book that you're talking about in the second one? And specifically, and you mentioned this, that having a book is similar to having a child. I have 4 children, but I haven't birthed any of them. So I can, but raising them is enough of a challenge, I guess you could say.
Right.
So, clearly it's a labor of love. What is the desired outcome of the book, or what's like the main gap in the market? Because it is such a busy space where people are putting out so much content. Why the book, and what specifically do you want the reader to walk away with?
I want the reader to walk away with a self-help guide, with something that isn't full of you should do this or that, but breaking it down in a way where they're like, oh, okay, I'm figuring out, like, here's where I'm at, here's where I need to go, and now I'm clear on the steps in a logical order of what my need to haves are, what my nice to haves are, in a like chill the beep out kind of way where it's this isn't people. There's in this digital marketing world, so many people are selling, buy this, you need paid search, your site has errors on it, for SEO, it's like, no, it's like fear-based marketing. So what does someone need to know so that they can navigate hiring the right vendor? So if they decide based on their personality, and that's what the web marketing therapy book's going to entail, is not just what the various opportunities are, but based on your personality, what's going to work best for you. Some people are really comfortable on camera. Some are more comfortable doing podcasts. Some don't do either or. Some have so many ideas, but they don't have the bandwidth and they need to hire a copywriter to get those ideas out. And so it just helps break out the process. And the difference between Web Marketing Therapy, which is the upcoming book, and my McGraw-Hill book is that it's more of a like, don't stress, self-diagnose, definitely more of my voice, I think, where the other one, as an educator, it's a great book. I mean, even all these years later, while some of the references may not be relevant because the book's almost 10 years old, it's still a book that can give you a really good overview. But Web Marketing Therapy is definitely in alignment with our agency's philosophy, with my approach, breaking down this 5-factor framework that we do all of our optimization under, and giving someone the keys really to what we've built over the 10 plus years that we've been in business, because not everyone's going to hire us. And I want something where someone can say, I heard you at that talk, or I listened to this podcast, and I'd like to do this on my own. Just like I've done what I've done on my own. It's really wonderful. I love to teach. Education is everything. And so I just want to have a really nice piece that current customers can reference, that anyone can learn from.
That's fantastic. One of the things that I wanted to raise my hand 3 times, I love doing videos. I love doing podcasts. I have a lot of ideas. So all of those things, definitely resonated, and I'm going to be watching when the book comes out. What advice would you give someone like myself that has 1,000 different ideas and 1,000 different thoughts and does enjoy doing a lot of different components in order to streamline and to be most effective?
First, breathe, and always celebrate what you've accomplished. That's such an overlooked process in the entrepreneurial. I mean, everything takes work, and everything it's so beautiful when you're able to look back and go, wow, I've done my 1,000th podcast, or I've got 5 years of blog posts. It's so great. One of my favorite things is if I have a client, let's say I might see a media query, and I go, oh, so-and-so is the perfect person to talk about whatever it is. I can go to his or her blog. I can search the blog, pull the content, and go, oh, da-da-da. And the journalist goes, thanks. And the client gets the media mention, and I'm like, but that's the beauty of how this stuff can multitask and how it can work even when you're not physically working. I'd always say, look at what your assets are, look at what you've built, understand where, what's working, and then also look at What are some of my untapped opportunities? We all stay on top of blogs and, various industry trends, and then looking at who you are, what your niche is and where you want to go. And then it can be as simple as, gosh, I'm going to Google some Instagram articles and do a little more with that. Or, I could take my podcasts and put them here, or, maybe I'm going to hire a virtual assistant or an intern to help take some of those entrepreneur excellent quotes, like the Lorrieisms or whoever you're interviewing. And that's an Instagram post, whatever it is. Like one of my favorite sayings is, and I can't take credit for it, is do what you do best, have others do the rest. Those things can become inspiring messages on Instagram. Like recently we're geeking out on Linktree right now. It's it's a way to have multiple links on your Instagram profile. And so it's always looking at small steps. So that'd be my final advice, is just remember that small steps compound to make a big difference. And it doesn't have to be this massive thing. It can be leveraging what you already have and just adding that next cool thing, so you're just doing this all the time.
Amazing. Lorrie, thank you so much. Please tell us how people can find more about you and your company.
Awesome. Webmarketingtherapy.com. You can Google us, Lorrie Thomas Ross. Also easily searchable. I always joke that you can look at my history of hairdos over the years. So while you're searching, LinkedIn's a great way to search and find me if you want to reach out to me direct. There you have it.
I appreciate it.
There you have it, folks. Another inspiring episode. If you enjoyed this, I ask you to please share this with your friends and to like us over on Rabbi Rupp through Facebook or on YouTube. And the more that we're able to get these important messages out, the more that we can really make an impact in the world. So I encourage you, please, to stay tuned. We have a ton of amazing speakers coming up, and also to tell your friends about it. Thank you very much.